Hello and welcome. Today is the 10th day of August 2017. My name is Derek and welcome to this evening's video on crypto trading, where we'll take a look at the Bitcoin chart as well as a coin formerly known as Ant Shares, now called NEO, and a little bit of metal as well. So those will be the three codes that I'm going to go over. I'm not going to go over much on the Bitcoin because I've went over a lot of this, but obviously there was these situations in which the 2800 variable level, really ranging up to the high 29s, was a area in which it had a lot of resistance. Wow, hard to say. Wasn't able to say. And that was after it had this amazing up move, and it corrected it both through time and through a couple waves of price as well. And since the breakout, it has had one leg higher, nothing large, nothing small. It's sort of like the three bears with the old porridge. Oh, you don't want it, you don't want it too warm, you don't want it too cold. Well, when I'm looking at technical analysis trading, that's oftentimes when I want things to go the way I want them to. That's how I want it as well. I don't want to go up. I don't want the breakout to go up too little or too much, because I want to go up a noticeable leg higher where I know I can buy at a previous level if there's going to be a retracement. You can pretty much tell where that key level is when I show the chart, but that's of course if there's a retracement. This thing could be ready to get going at any time. After this update here, it's had a very productive sideways manner. Yesterday's brief sell-off didn't last that long. And today's action, of course, a little bit of a green candle up. We'll quickly shorten it, then move on to the NEO chart. This is the 2-hour time frame, and the big breakout, no surprise to have a large size move higher. After leg one up, this was a correctionary move. Leg number two higher, and now there's been more of the correctionary move. So it's basically neutral within the range of about 33 to where it stands, like 34.50 or so area is neutrality. It's at the upper end of the range, and because we've had this level here hit here as well, then it is obviously a major level of resistance. So therefore, at a break of such, don't be surprised to have decent green candle moves to the upside. And on any breakdowns, this level has already been established as a once hit level. So in technical analysis, whenever I see a market have a very fast move that regains fast to its normal trading area, like in such, then I know if there's going to be any further failure, that this is an area I would look to see as support. And oftentimes, if it does go a little bit bearish, then before, when you came down here, there was like no buying opportunities or very little at that point, because it rebounded to 33 really fast. So in situations when markets come back down there again, oftentimes they'll just stay around there for a little bit. But that's, again, only if, of course, that situation comes in play, because even short term, you're going to be talking about some of these other areas before it gets down there. Now let's move this on to NEO. And we're looking at it on the daily time frame. And it's obviously been breaking out well since the early August time frame. And because it's overextended, it's very difficult to think that, well, to state, well, is it a good time to buy? I personally wouldn't, as I do not like to buy markets chased on the way up. I would rather be a seller on this case, which I have been doing for such. As when the market was going up in here, I wasn't buying by any means. And you know what? I even said that here. I didn't want to buy what was breaking 12, and you can see at that point it worked out. So not every single time you run into a situation that usually works one way or another is going to. And of course, the situation in here is that, okay, it's up a lot, let's try to buy it cheaper. Well, you couldn't buy that cheaper there. So therefore, I did have to wait. I was buying on the dips lower. And then on August the 1st, when the fork issue was in, I bought a bunch of everything. I bought some of it. So therefore, I'll put sell orders on the way up, and I've been doing such as Since I bought last, I've probably had about 7 or 8 sell orders fill. I've had a couple or so, 3 buy orders get filled, maybe 2, something in that area, because every single time that something gets sold, I want to buy it cheaper. Let's shorten out this time frame. Looking at it from the 2-hour perspective, still well above this 18 average, despite the fact that it's got a decent sized red candle on the current time frame. And as I stated, I bought on the I would have bought somewhere in here, right when, maybe even up here actually, probably I would have bought. And when did I sell and buy back? Well, I did buy back in here, so I would have sold somewhere there. I for sure would have bought in here, because there's no way I'm going to let a market have that type of decline and not have a buy order ready. But then I've sold here without buying, I think, or close to the high. And then I sold again, some other place in here. And I recently just sold at like 99, so maybe somewhere in here. So I've sold a bunch of these different places. And I sold at 99. I'm looking to buy that back at 80. And then I'm going to have buy orders back in here as well, because I'm always looking to get back cheaper what I sell. Now, oftentimes when markets have big rises like this, that's when I'll generally consider selling larger amounts, like even close to everything that I own on that particular token. But because of some parabolic moves and how much I think this is good for the long term, I want to be really careful and make sure that if this thing has any major gains, like goes up like another 2-3 times, that I don't run out of tokens. And I simply do that by stating to myself, okay, I just sold here at like 99, so then I'll sell maybe up here, maybe I'll sell again at like 18. And how long can I go before I'm going to run out? And I've already done that. I can go a decent amount with the tokens that I have. Let's finish this off with metal. We're looking at this on the 4-hour time frame, and since it's debuted, which is in here, had a big, huge fall from its debut, a volatile ride higher, and has done a lot of sideways action. But since such, it has left this 18 average band doing a lot better than it has before. Here, not so much. And it's been able to have a green candle up on this one, sustain it, and so far it's been 50 minutes into this one, and it's holding as well again. So holding about 5+ hours within the gains so far. Now, I call this code Montreal because the letters are MTL, and for about the last 30 or so years in my life, I've always referred to that 3-letter acronym as that of Montreal. Now, as far as how I've traded this, I'm going to show you my orders, because I've only ever made 6 trades ever within it, but I want to do it just to go over strategy, not to say, oh, this is what this code is doing. No, rather how I execute the strategy. So then on July the 17th, which would have been with the price in at 124, so roughly somewhere in here, I would have been a buyer. 17th. Yep, 124. That doesn't make sense. Why? How the 17th? Okay, you know what? Probably as it was breaking out and I waited to buy down here. That's probably how I would have bought. I'm trying to figure out why I would have bought at that point, but that's where it would have been. So I bought in here, and I bought 3 tokens. And I put my buy order in to do it, and then that got executed at 12 o'clock. Now, I would have went in town for the day, probably, given the fact that I was back later in the afternoon, to put a sell order in, but I sold immediately at 158, which would have meant somewhere in here. But I only sold 2 of them, so I left one back. I would have put a buy order in for 14,000, and the 14,000 buy order would have been executed pretty much immediately. Then after I bought that, I bought 2 1/4, so I was able to buy basically the exact same amount that I sold for. So this is 1/4 free tokens. Now I kept the one back. I didn't sell many, just 1 1/4. And I did so at the 1439 price on July 21st. That probably would have meant that I wanted to get out. So I was probably in here. Okay, this thing's breaking down. Breaking down. Let's get out. And I did. So therefore, August the 2nd was the buy day. So I bought a whole bunch of different things. This one was no exception, buying in at 137 and then selling today at 1.5. So that means I'll look to buy back, probably will be buying back in this area. And I have saved the other 2 tokens to sell somewhere up here. So again, I want to go over different strategies where sometimes if you want to try to accumulate tokens, you can buy back a few more than you sell. And after buying, you don't have to sell everything in which you have. As in here, actually I got 4 tokens left. I said I had a couple left because I bought 5.8 on the 2nd of August, selling 3.8, thus keeping 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1. Now I've already calculated. It works out that I have an average entry cost at a little under 10, 90 something is my net average cost from all this trading. And it's not that many tokens, but it just gives you the idea of how I'm liking to play it. Now the reason why I would have sold at the 159 number was because it was the area of this previous resistance level in here. Thank you for watching and take care.